Good morning. Good morning. Welcome or welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Friday, July 5th, and we are here to finish off the week. It is Freeform Friday of looking at the new releases. And just before starting, I realized my glasses were absolutely filthy. So I'm cleaning them before we get started because I can't read the screen. Hope you had a good 4th. I was awake way too late because we just had fireworks like crazy all around us. Cajun says, "Morning, everyone. Have a day off for a doctor's appointment. Oh, I hope that goes well for you. I am also taking the day off. This is the first one in years. Um, and I'm taking advantage of us having a full house at the shop. So I'm very much going to enjoy this. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to give Keo the first of our 2 walks and probably go back to bed because I was up way late. They didn't stop till like 1 o'clock. Ha ha! We had those during spring, and that was about it. Thank goodness. Ugh. Okay, so I thought today we could do something a little different. It was mentioned yesterday if I have ever do nonfiction, and I've never actually done it for the new releases, and I thought that was interesting. And there were a couple interesting things. Plus, there were a couple fiction that we hadn't covered because there were more general fiction rather than the genre stuff that we look at. So I thought we would do that as well. So we've got about, what is that, 9 to look at as some new releases. Quick announcements. I don't have sprints tonight. I don't do them on Friday night. I will have them tomorrow afternoon, though, at 1 p.m. Mountain Time and 3 p.m. Eastern. They'll go for 5 hours. I do every Tuesday and Thursday evenings and Saturday afternoons. All right, let's go over here. All right, this first one is appropriate for the week, and it's probably why it was released this week. This Fierce People, The Untold Story of America's Revolutionary War in the South by Alan Pell Crawford. A groundbreaking, important recovery of history, the overlooked story, fully explored, of the critical aspect of America's Revolutionary War that was fought in the South, showing that the British surrender at Yorktown was the direct result of the Southern campaign, and that the battles that emerged south of the Mason-Dixon line between loyalists to the Crown and the patriots who fought for independence were, in fact, America's first Civil War. This is crucial because they needed there were 13 colonies at the time, 13 territories at the time, and they were all fairly independent among themselves, but also being a colony of England. Those who were wanting to separate from England needed the help of the agreement of the southern states as well. And of course, the South's economy depended on the labor of slaves. And the founding fathers were wanting to end slavery at that time. But the southern states, that was a hard decline for them. You know, we need to continue our economy this way. We're not going to join you unless you stop doing that. So as a compromise in the Declaration, in the Constitution, blah, 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 slaves were counted as 2/3 of a person instead of a full person because the way things were being set up, population of a state contributed to the number of, you know, getting representation. And if you counted that labor force as a full person, then the South would have all the power. And again, the other states wanted to stop this practice. So, as a compromise, they were counted as two-thirds of a person, not a full person, et cetera, et cetera. So, as a compromise, in order to get full agreement to break away from England, they had to leave the South's economy as it was. And again, that meant that slavery continued. But that those southern states weren't just sitting there, they did contribute to the revolution. And this book is talking about that. The famous battles that form the backbone of the story put forth of America's independence at Lexington and Concord, Brandywine, Germantown, Saratoga, and Monmouth were crucial, did not lead to the surrender at Yorktown. It was in the 3+ years between Monmouth and Yorktown that the war was won. The author's riveting new book, this book, tells the story of these missing 3 years, long ignored by historians, and of the fierce battles fought in the South that made up the central theater of military operations in the latter years of the Revolutionary War, upending the essential American myth that the War of Independence was fought primarily in the North. It just There was so much information, they focused on that area, which leaves open books to be written about it, like this one. Weaving throughout the stories of the heroic men and women, largely unsung patriots, African Americans and whites, militiamen and irregulars, patriots and Tories, Americans, Frenchmen, Brits, Hessians, Crawford reveals the misperceptions and contradictions of our accepted understanding of how our nation came to be, as well as the national narrative that America's victory over the British lay solely with General George Washington and his troops. I don't think that is what they're pushing. That is what is easily taught in schools. I know teachers have very little time to get information across, so you do the highlights. So this lets the author go into greater detail. It's just my 4 months check since I've passed 2 years in a recurrence. I go every 4 months instead of 3. Next year, every 6. Oh, that's fantastic. It's going to go well. I just know it. Mary, good morning, Mary. Happy Friday, the day after the 4th. Hope everyone had a great day. I hope you did too. What did you do? Did you hang out with friends and family or just lay low? That sounds interesting indeed. And there we go. Next up, The Talented Mrs. Mandelbaum, The Rise and Fall of an American Organized Crime Boss by Margaret, that's an interesting name, Fox. In 1850, an impoverished 25-year-old named Frederica Mandelbaum came to New York in steerage and worked as a peddler on the streets of Lower Manhattan. By the 1870s, she was a fixture of high society and an admired philanthropist. How was she able to ascend from tenement poverty to vast wealth? In the intervening years, Marm Mandelbaum had become the country's most notorious fence, a receiver of stolen goods, and a criminal mastermind. By the mid-1880s, as much as $10 million worth of purloined luxury goods, nearly $300 million in today's money, had passed through her Lower East Side shop. Called the nucleus and center of the whole organization of crime, she planned robberies of cash, gold, and diamonds throughout the country. But Mrs. Mandelbaum wasn't just a successful crook. She was a business visionary, one of the first entrepreneurs in America to systemize the scattershot enterprise of property crime. Handpicking a cadre of the finest bank robbers, housebreakers, and shoplifters, she handled logistics and organized supply chains, turning theft into a viable, scalable business. It's a vivid portrait of Gilded Age New York, a city teeming with nefarious rogues, capitalist power brokers, and Tammany Hall bigwigs, all straddling the line between underworld enterprise and legitimate commerce. Combining deep historic research with a narrative flair for those for which she is celebrated, the author tells the unforgettable true story of a once famous heroine whose life exemplifies America's cherished rags to riches narrative while simultaneously upending it entirely. She did it through illegal means, but that is an amazing story of a very unlikely person. Had a nice day, spent much of it in the kitchen actually cooking, something I haven't done much of lately. Felt good to be back in the saddle again. Went to a friend's house later. Nice. The Secret History of Sharks. The Rise of the Ocean's Most Fearsome Predators by John Long. Sorry, coffee was required. From ancient megalodons to fearsome great whites, this book tells the complete untold story of how sharks emerged as Earth's ultimate survivors by world leading paleontologist John Long. Sharks have been fighting for their lives for 500 million years and today are under dire threat. They are the longest surviving vertebrate on Earth, outlasting multiple mass extinction events that decimated life on the planet. But how did they thrive for so long? By developing superpower like abilities that allowed them to ascend to the top of the oceanic food chain. Way to make it more scary. John Long, who for decades has been on the cutting edge of shark research, weaves a thrilling story of sharks' unparalleled reign. The book showcases the global search to discover sharks' largely unknown evolution, led by Long and dozens of other extraordinary scientists. They embark on digs to all 7 continents, investigating layers of rock and using cutting edge technology to reveal never before found fossils and the clues to sharks' singular story. As the tale unfolds, Long introduces an enormous range of astonishing organisms. A 30-foot long shark with a deadly saw blade of jagged teeth protruding from its lower jaws, a monster giant clams crusher, and bizarre sharks fossilized while in their mating ritual. The book also includes startling new facts about the mighty megalodon with its 66-foot long body, massive jaws, and 6-inch serrated teeth. With insights into the threats to sharks today, how they contribute to medical advances, and the lessons they can teach us about our own survival, the book is a riveting look at scientific discovery with ramifications far beyond the ocean. That sounds really cool. This would be for the kids, the young people who love, um, dinosaurs, fossils, and kinds of things. Of course, those who have gotten involved with Shark Week. I'm intrigued by the fossil and evolution side of things there. That's cool. She sounds fascinating. She, was it? Yeah, and by the name, it sounds like she was a Jewish woman. Yeah, I found some interesting books this morning. We might have to do more nonfiction. Sharing Space, An Astronaut's Guide to Mission, Wonder, and Making Change by Katie Coleman. In 2010, Katie Coleman boarded a rocket and blasted off into space for her third NASA mission, a 6-month expedition to the International Space Station, where she was the only woman on her 6-person crew. After years spent overcoming obstacles in competitive, high performance environments, including grappling with her own doubts and training in a spacesuit that was too big, Coleman became a success story in a role that wasn't built with her in mind. An astronaut who is also a mother, Air Force colonel, scientist, and leader. Her determination and amazing experiences give her a unique perspective on how to set yourself up for success in space and here on Earth. In this book, Katie shares counterintuitive insights integral to her success, such as how to know when to adapt and when to press for change instead, how to leverage insecurities to beat expectations, and how to be the glue that holds a disparate team together, shaping it to thrive. Illustrated with stories from her life and training, Katie takes readers from meteorite hunting in Antarctica to launching a 1.6 Babylon telescope into space to the wonder of spending 6 months living and working in zero gravity. This book will inspire anyone eager to escape a box in which they have been wrongly placed and to develop the confidence to succeed, even when they're not an obvious fit. Next up, Mr. Churchill in the White House: The Untold Story of a Prime Minister and Two Presidents by Robert Schmuhl. Well into the 21st century, Winston Churchill continues to be the subject of scores of books. Biographers portray him as a soldier, statesman, writer, painter, and even a daredevil, but the noted author and journalist, may be the first to depict him as a demanding, indeed exhausting White House guest. For the British Prime Minister, America's most famous residence was the summit of the United States, and staying weeks on end with the president as host enhanced his global influence and prestige. Yet what makes Churchill's sojourns so remarkable are their duration at critical moments in 20th century history. From his first visit in 1941 to his last one 18 years later, Churchill made himself at home in the White House, seeking to disprove Benjamin Franklin's adage that guests, like fish, smell after 3 days. When obliged to be attired, Churchill shuffled about in velvet slippers and a tailored for air raids siren suit resembling a romper. In retrospect, these extended stays at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue take on a new level of diplomatic and military significance. Just imagine, for example, Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky spending weeks at America's most powerful address discussing war strategy and access to weaponry, as Churchill did during the 1940s. Drawing on years of research, Schmuel not only contextualizes the unprecedented time Churchill and President Franklin D. Roosevelt spent together between 1941 and 1945, but he also depicts the individual figures involved, from Churchill himself to General Ike, as he affectionately called Dwight D. Eisenhower, to Harry Truman, and not to mention the formidable Eleanor Roosevelt, who resented Churchill's presence in the White House and wanted him to occupy the nearby Blair House instead, which predictably he did not do. The book presents a new perspective on the politician, war leader, and author through his intimate involvement with one Democratic and one Republican president during his two terms as prime minister. Indeed, Churchill had his own special relationship with these two presidents. Diaries, letters, government documents, and memoirs supply the archival foundation and color for each Churchill visit, providing a wholly novel perspective on one of history's most perplexing and many faceted figures. Well, and what isn't mentioned but really has to be emphasized, communication pretty much had to be face to face, particularly during the war years, not just because of uh, confidentiality, but communication took a long time. It wasn't instantaneous communication like today. Plumber is finally coming back today to finish up all the plumbing problems that have been occurring. Maybe a long, expensive day. Ow! But hopefully this gets it done. Oof. Exactly. Get it all resolved. All right. I think from here on is more general fiction-y kind of things that we hadn't covered. The World After Alice by Lauren Eliza Green. When Morgan and Benji surprise their families with a wedding invitation to Maine, they're aware the news of their clandestine relationship will come as a shock. 12 years have passed since the stunning loss of 16-year-old Alice, Benji's sister and Morgan's best friend, and no one is quite the same. But the young couple decide to plunge headlong into matrimony, marking the first time their fractured families will reunite since Alice's funeral. As the arriving guests descend upon the tranquil coastal town, they bring with them not only skepticism about the impromptu nuptials, but also deep-seated secrets and agendas of their own. Peter, Morgan's father, may be trying to dissuade his daughter from saying "I do," while Linny, Benji's mother, introduces a boyfriend who bears a tumultuous past of his own. Nick, Benji's father, is scheming to secure a new job before his wife, formerly his mistress, discovers he's lost his old one. Morgan, too, carries delicate secrets that threaten to jeopardize the happiness for which she has so longed. And as for Benji, well, he's just trying to make sure the whole weekend doesn't implode. As the whirlwind weekend unfolds, old passions reignite, deep wounds resurface, and unearthed secrets threaten to shatter the fragile peace the wedding promises. With each new revelation, the to-be-weds and their complicated families are forced to question just how well they know the ones they hold dear. Imagine it's also dealing with grief and so forth. This next one is a mystery that we had missed. I had missed. Second in the Accidental Medium series, Gin Palace by Tracy Whitwell. Tans can talk to ghosts, although she'd prefer if she couldn't. Struggling to make ends meet as an actress and wholly unsuited to supply teaching, Tans is only one bad day away from a meltdown, and the babbling ghosts aren't helping. So when Tans is offered a paid acting gig in her hometown, things start to look up. But Newcastle's dead won't stay quiet for long, and soon Tans becomes haunted with visions of a mysterious gin palace guarded by a sinister figure. As Tans start to piece together a terrible tragedy, it becomes clear there's no limit to what the poltergeist will do to keep his secrets his own. Unfortunately, he's never met anyone quite like Tans before. The Curse of the Flores Women. Whereas now it's almost too much communication. Indeed. And those were the years when you actually saw these famous people walking among us, not along motorcades with sirens. Also very true. All right. I have the day off, we can finish. The Curse of the Flores Women by Angelica Lopez, and Zoe Perry is the translator. A novel about the enduring bonds of womanhood. A young girl weaves together the truth behind her family history and the secrets that resonate through generations. 18-year-old Alice Ribeiro is constantly fighting against the status quo, female oppression in Brazil, and even her own mother. But when a family veil is passed down to her, Alice is compelled to fight for the rights of all womankind while also uncovering the hidden history of the women in her family. 7 generations ago, the small town of Bom Retiro shunned the Flores women because of a curse that rendered them unlucky in love. With no men on the horizon to take care of them, the women learned the art of lace making to build lives of their own. But their peace was soon threatened by forces beyond any woman's control. As Alice begins piercing together the tapestry that is her history, she discovers revelations about the past, connections to the present, and resilience in her blood that will carry her toward the future her ancestors strove for. I think that's a very pretty cover, too. And the last one for today, The Moonlight Market by Joanne Harris. Deep in the heart of London, a young photographer named Tom Argent walks the streets and captures whatever catches his eye. An old man drinking coffee, a striking woman sipping the champagne in St. Pancras Station, a cloud of moths taking flight across the sky. He's orphaned, lonely, and lost in his work. He certainly has no intention of falling in love. And yet love finds him in the shape of beautiful Vanessa, who lives a dangerous double life in the heart of the city. Tom's pursuit of Vanessa leads him to discover an alternate world, hiding in plain sight among the streets and rooftops of London. A world unseen by common folk and inhabited by strange and colorful beings, in which 2 warring factions, one nocturnal, one in the light, wage war for the sake of a long-lost love, which can only end with one side's total annihilation. This book will enchant readers with new worlds and epic romance, and in this captivating modern fairy tale about what could be hiding in the corner of your eye. And that is what we have for today. Are taking the day off. Yes, sure hope so. Have like, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Still don't know what Steve is going to be doing, but I'm taking it off. Ah, all right. So, again, no sprints tonight. I don't do them on Friday nights. I will have them tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. They go for 5 hours. And next week, we'll look at the new releases for that week, starting on Monday with Cozy Mysteries and a different genre every day. I do repost these, so if you aren't able to get up early, you can watch it later and see what new releases are. Uh, Okay, then hope y'all have a good day. Good luck with the plumber, Mary. Good. See y'all tomorrow. Good luck with your doctor's checkup. All right. Have a very good day. Hope you are reading good books. And if I don't see you, have a good holiday weekend. And as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Have a good day and God bless.